Oklahoma comes in ranked number 14. Quarterbacks ranked number 1 in every category in the Big 12. They win at 31-24. They leave with their tail between their legs. Their quarterback hurts. And had it not been for 3 turnovers for 21 points, BYU wins that game. I think we're all convinced of that. But Aiden Robbins showed us that he can move when he gets the football running downhill. 22 carries, 182 yards, 8.3 yards per carry against Oklahoma. Now we think, well, you should be doing that all season long. We had broken ribs. You can't do anything with broken ribs. You can't even sneeze with broken ribs. I kind of
hate the fact that BYU at the beginning of the season kept that a big secret because everybody thought that L.J. Martin just replaced him. And we were scratching our heads going, man, what happened to this dude? This is the guy. This can't be the guy in film we watched rush for 1,000 yards last year at UNLV. And then about 5 weeks later, we find out, well, he cracked 3 ribs.
Couldn't tie his shoes.
Couldn't bend over, couldn't breathe. And we're just like, oh, man. And he tried to play. And then they put LJ in, and it's not, LJ is going to be a great player. But Aiden, 100% healthy, he looked like the dude we saw in the film.
He looked good.
And this offensive line, I feel like in the run game, they've been solid in pass protection most of the year. In the run game, that's the most solid football game they've had all year long, where they block. They open big holes against an Oklahoma front that's big and physical.
And they protected the quarterback, Jake Retzlaff, 15 of 26, had an interception that was costly, and then a couple of fumbles, both costly. He also threw 2 touchdowns. He's learning on the job as a junior college transfer. He has gotten a little bit better each week, with the exception of protecting the football, and he's got to do that in Stillwater for BYU to have a chance.
Yep, he's got to take care of the ball. Number one, when we had Steve Young on, well, actually, this is when Steve and I were just talking off the air, and we were talking about what advice he gives to new quarterbacks that are playing. And he talks about the fact that you can't go win a game on one play. So you don't go just try to play outside yourself and win a game on one play. But you can lose a game on one play.
Yeah.
If you're the quarterback, because a terminal turnover, a pick six, a scoop and score, you put the ball on the ground, can lose a game. And so he always encourages young guys to not go out and play, tight, but to say, listen, manage the game. Don't go try to win the game on one play. Take care of the football. Take a sack if you have to, but don't lose the game on one play. And we could go back and look at that game last week.
If there was one play, that was it.
Oh my gosh! If there was an example that pick six, that goes from BYU with Oklahoma on their heels, ahead by 7. With a freshman quarterback, and I get that this quarterback was the National Player of the year before. Doesn't matter. Still a freshman.
Yeah.
In there feeling like he might have to do something to win the game on a one play, likely to turn it over and put him in a bad position. He's the happiest guy in the stadium when BYU threw a pick six because they went from certainly down by 7 to up by 7. And then he knew that all he had to do was manage the football and not turn it over.
Yeah, not give it back.
And they could win this thing. BYU had other chances, but that was such an amazing flip on one play and momentum.
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma went from on their heels to on the balls of their feet. And then
it was like having a stomach full of sugar 1 minute and then a stomach ache because you had a stomach full of sugar in a matter of seconds.
And so rarely do we pin a game on one play, but that one play back as a touchdown probably changes that game. And then there's others. The fumbles hurt. Defense had a chance to get a couple stops and couldn't. When the defense did get a stop, the offense had a chance to go down and score and tie it up and couldn't. So there were other opportunities, but that just seemed to change the trajectory of the game.
John, by the way, on the live stream tonight, my son and I were just watching Aiden's highlights, and the O-line was much better. We need them both on Saturday.
Yes.
What we did like that we saw last weekend was BYU rushed for a season-high 217 yards. They were 5 of 14 on third downs, but when you throw in they were 3 of 3 on fourth downs. They just looked better in a number of phases, and that's why, as we finished AFR tonight, you're like, well, you know what? They got a chance on Saturday.
If they can control the line of scrimmage, and let me tell you, Oklahoma State's defensive front 7 are not better than Oklahoma's. Oklahoma State's, they're a good football team. If they win, they're going to go to the Big 12 championship game. But they're not more talented than Oklahoma. And if BYU plays the way they can play with the type of intensity and communicate the way they did, because there wasn't a bunch of free runners coming that were unblocked, they can run the ball against this Oklahoma State team. Oklahoma State's good offensively, really great throwing, strong-arm quarterback that's been around the block.
Senior.
Started at Texas Tech, was at Michigan and transferred down. a running back that may be the best running back in the entire country.
Ollie Gordon at
Yep.
second. He's tied for the most yards in the country, and he has 15 rushing touchdowns. We watched him today and watched him last weekend against Houston. He's a beast. It's
Yeah.
going to be a
He
load
is-
to bring down.
He is so good, and Alan Bowman's the quarterback we're going to talk about. He's very, very different than Dylan Gabriel. He's a 6'4" guy. They do run some RPO stuff where he'll get involved in the run game a little bit, but he's not a threat. Dylan Gabriel's a threat every time he drops back. If you don't contain him, he's going to go run for a 50-yard gain, or he's going to convert a 3rd and 17. You don't really worry about Alan Bowman like just taking it and taking off and really hurting you in the run game. You have to respect him in the run game. But where he does his damage is throwing the ball. 2,487 passing yards this season. The one bugaboo for Alan Bowman has been, is it Bowman or Bauman?
I think it's Bowman.
Yeah.
We'll find out on Saturday.
The one bugaboo for him, especially in the last 2 games, has been the throwing picks. He's tried to push the ball in some spots that he shouldn't. He threw a pick 6 last week. He's had 4 picks in the last 2 games. And this is an Oklahoma State team that even though they're a win away from playing the Big 12 championship game, they've played 8 quarters of football the last 2 weeks where they were awful for 6 quarters, like absolutely awful for 6 quarters. And they played 2 phenomenal quarters in the second half of last week's game. They got the crap beat. Can I say the crap beat out of them?
Yeah, you can on this show.
Okay. They got the crap
But
beat
remember,
out of them.
we're moving to Monday nights. So.
That's true. Monday nights and family night can probably not say crap. But they got the crap beat out of them at Central Florida, 45-3. They got beat worse than BYU got beat that week.
Yeah,
by
that-
Iowa
that
State.
was weird.
And then last week they went down 21-7. At halftime it was 23-16 or 20-7, 23-16.
Yeah.
They jumped all over, they got jumped all over by a Houston team that's not stopped anybody. And then they ended up coming on the second half, and Gordon just played like a man possessed. And so they played 2 great quarters in the last 2 games.
Well, they've got it all on the line for them at home because if they win, they're going to the Big 12 championship game. So all the motivation in the world. They're a 16-point favorite. It's at 1:30 Mountain Time Saturday afternoon on ABC.
So there's the Big 12 championship on the line for Oklahoma State, and there's bowl eligibility on the line. And the most important thing about that bowl eligibility, it doesn't even matter which bowl it is. It's the extra practices you get with these young guys and these. Think about how many new players. They started 7 first-year transfer players on offense to start the season. They're their first year in the program, even though they've been at other places. How valuable would it be for those that are returning next year to have all of those extra practices to get ready for a bowl game and be that much
Plus,
further
there's
ahead?
50 bowl games, and it's lame if you're not in one of
If
those.
you're not in
I mean,
one,
half
it's
the
not-
country
it's not-
qualifies.
It's not good.
Big 12 State.